The Last of Us, a video game first premiering on PlayStation all the way back in 2013, remastered in 2014, and with DLC called the Left Behind DLC. Great game, and has now been turned into a cultural phenomenon of a TV show on HBO Max. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about today. We couldn't wait for the whole series to drop, so this week, the Beard, Nerd Squatch, and I are going to talk about some of the game and all of the first 5 episodes that we found very interesting, that's keeping us right on the edge of our seats, and a little worried about Fungus. Stick around. Episode 4 of Season 4 is right around the corner. Please stand by.
Harlequin here, and you're tuned in
No,
to the
Holly, that's my line. You're tuned in to the Bear and Beard podcast. Enjoy the show.
Like they're lining up. Well, they're excited.
What's going on, fandomites? Welcome to or back to the Bear and the Beard podcast. I am the Bear. I'm joined, as always, by my majestically bearded, faithful co-host, Bearded Brian Guy, the Beard. Brosius Mayo, my guy.
Mayo Brosius, my dude. How we doing?
Doing well, doing very well. Looking very much forward to Pensacon, which is this weekend.
Yes.
We are there right now.
We're there right now. I'm hanging out with y'all.
We are joined also by our third co-host of the show, our social media sorcerer supreme, Jay, the Nerd Squatch. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you? I'm very excited.
Very excited indeed.
Excited. We had a lot of fun at Dogmud Tavern's Mardi Gras celebration last weekend. It was very fun. Homemade king cakes, bead toss challenge, and of course, karaoke dance party hosted by yours truly. That was very fun. We look forward to being back at Dogmud the Monday after Pensacon, the 27th, for Pokemon Day, where I'll be hosting some trivia. So if you're listening to this before that, come and test your Pokemon knowledge.
Dude, that's almost perfect timing.
Right?
That is
Okay.
exactly what I was thinking.
Exactly perfect timing. And since we're talking about Pokemon's a video game, Last of Us is a video game, let's talk about Last of Us. Now, we could not wait until the whole season had dropped to talk
There's
about
so much to
show.
talk about in just the first 5 episodes. Like,
There was so much to talk about just the
mid-season.
first 2 episodes.
Absolutely.
But
I'm coming from the place where I know very little about the video game, and yet I am obsessed with this universe already. Like, obsessed
me
with
too.
it. If I had the money for a PlayStation 5, I'd be in the store buying it right now, along with Last of Us and Spider-Man.
right. So for all of our listeners, all of our viewers, I am the only one of the 3 of us that have played through all the DLC, both video games. So I am going to be coming from the viewpoint of this is what was different, this is what was the same, but it's all awesome, all of it. But I do want to start off this episode by not only saying give that follow button a click and the like button and all that on the episode on the YouTubes, to let y'all know that if you do have a PlayStation, this is a game you need to go and get. PlayStation Plus, it's free right now. In the PlayStation Plus store, you can go and get that. And the second one as well, Part 2, is also available for free. So this is the remastered version I have on my screen here, just on the loading screen. Who knew a window could evoke so much emotions? We will get into that. And dare I say, this video game, just the first one, is worth the purchase of a PlayStation 4. It's worth it. So with tax season right around the corner, if you're thinking about getting a new system, if you're thinking about upgrading, something like that, if you haven't been a PlayStation person in the past, this is worth it. This is worth it.
We are not promoted to say that.
I'm not paid to say
It's
that.
just facts. It's just facts.
In my opinion. this video game alone is worth buying a PlayStation. There are so many other great titles. Like you said, Brian, Spider-Man is a PlayStation exclusive.
And
Miles
so many
Morales
others.
Spider-Man, Infamous, most of the God of War games.
Infamous.
Yeah, they're all PlayStation exclusive, but
Is
this
Last
game
of Us?
is worth it. Last of Us is PlayStation exclusive, yes.
Dang, I was about
Yeah.
to say I'm trying to get a Switch, but okay.
Well, if I upgrade, I might give one of y'all my PlayStation. Just saying.
Oh, I don't need a PlayStation. I don't know these things. I'm good
Yeah,
at a Switch though.
The controller is very much different from what we're used to on Xbox. It took me a long time to get used to this.
I had an Xbox as a little tyke, so
Crash Bandicoot, I believe, is also one of those that it used to be. Now, it used to be PlayStation exclusive. I don't know that it is anymore. But I know that's where it started, was PlayStation 1. So, Last of Us.
PS2.
The basic storyline is post-apocalyptic world where zombies of a kind took over. Fungal zombies, as I'm starting to like to call them. Main characters, Joel, Ellie. It is a 2-character, but you are the 1-character, third-person adventure game, survival game. You got to go around, collect duct tape, alcohol, things like that, to make med kits, bombs, ammo, all the kinds of things. In this post-apocalyptic world, it's very, very surreal because throughout the game, Joel and Ellie are the only characters. So that right there off the bat, first main difference.
The only main characters, right?
Yes. In the show, they are exploring the storylines of some of the side characters that you interact with. And I, for one, love it.
Not Tess.
Not Tess. Tess was a big part of the game.
Well, no, I was saying that Tess,
But yeah.
they didn't really explore into Tess. They kind of just gave her exactly what they gave her in the fucking game.
Yeah.
We knew what Tess stood for, though. Like, she
Yes,
was
she
the
was
person who
amazing.
I mean, I feel like without her, Joel, at least this Joel, I don't know what Joel was like in the video games, but this Joel, I do not believe would have done anything for Ellie had Tess not pushed it.
And that actress is
Same.
incredible. I don't know if either of you have seen Mindhunter, but she is so good in that on Netflix.
I have
It's
not
really good.
seen that, but I know her from
Rock.
something. I don't know what.
I do need to also point out, while we're talking about actresses, rest in peace, the voice actress that played Tess in the
Anne
video game.
Weisman.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my
So,
god.
she passed away around the same time her character passed away in the TV show.
Dude, can we talk about that though? But like for game players, the catharsis of the first scene of that episode, Joel building a grave.
Yeah.
How perfect timing. Oh,
And-
so good.
And to answer your curiosity, Brian, Joel is exactly the same in the show as he is in the video game. And Tess played a huge part in convincing him to stop being a self-absorbed asshole. And I'm going to say that. This game has language. This episode's going to have some language.
Yay, good.
So...
Now, granted,
yeah.
you can tell that how he is has a lot to do with losing his daughter.
His daughter.
Yes.
And Tommy. And Tommy.
And Tommy.
I mean, he's separated from his brother too. He's by himself.
I love how in the first episode we're following a character we're not going to see throughout the rest of the show. The first person we're really focusing on is Sarah.
I watched a TikTok, and I'm going to promote it because he said, I don't know his channel, but if he sees this, he'll know it. And I'll put a link to it. I'll send it to you, and you can put the TikTok in the description. But he noticed that when Sarah is in school, there's already somebody sitting next to her who's got a muscle spasm. There's already somebody who's infected because muscle spasms are on the list of symptoms.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to have to go back and
I
watch
didn't
that
even
first
know that.
episode.
They draw attention to it because the reflection of her bracelet glares across her face, and then she looks over and she's spasming. Yeah, it's pretty twisted. I was like, wow.
See, the whole time, and I'm sure if I had played the game, I would know this wasn't going to happen, but the whole time she was in the old lady's house and she went back in, I was like, that's going to be the death of her right there.
But the
This old
irony,
lady.
But the irony of her
Right.
surviving the girl at school, the old lady, all of the infected in the town, for the government to rain lead on them.
And not ingesting any flour.
No.
Though she was offered it several times. There were chances for her to become infected. And she was the one that pointed out in the first scene where where they're driving, what if we're already all infected?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I read that. Now, I'm pretty sure she said that in the game. I'd have to play back through it because that whole scene was straight out of the video game.
And might I say,
when they
the
pull
way
up
they
to the
captured chaos, though.
Yes.
Like, you felt the intensity of, what are we going to do? Like, everyone talks about what they're going to do in a post-apocalyptic situation. But what if it actually happens? Everyone is going to have the same idea. Everywhere they went, they're like, oh, crap, people are going this way, too. That's
I'm gonna
so
go steal
realistic.
a dump truck. I'm gonna go steal a dump truck is what I'm gonna do. No road barricades for me. I'm gonna come down to the coast and scoop up Jay and Mama Kim, and then we're gonna come up to Nebraska. We're just gonna hide out in the wheat fields.
Yes.
I feel like, yes, there's actually, Nebraska is the perfect place to be in an apocalypse.
Yep.
Minus the actual
rural
people.
areas are the best to be.
That's the thing that this show captured so perfectly that I think Walking Dead tried to do but didn't succeed the way this show has. The zombies are not the big problem. I mean, don't get me wrong. When you got something like a bloater, that's a big problem. But the main antagonist of the show is other people.
Yes.
And The Walking Dead
in the biggest way
touched it, but not in the way that this is. Because now you've got the government being the problem too.
If
government are all Nazis.
If I was to compare Walking Dead,
not dead.
Yeah. If I was to compare Walking Dead to Last of Us, Walking Dead didn't really harp on people being the problem until Negan showed up several seasons into the show. Last of Us harps on people being the problem within the first 5 minutes of the video game and within the first episode of the show.
Immediately we see that government agent gun them down, which is just so heartbreaking.
And like I said, straight out of the video game. Now, I will say the changes came early. But I want to preface every change I'm going to talk about by saying I loved every minute of it. The director himself is one of the creators of the show, and he worked on the game. And he is quoted in saying, and it was in the, if you're not watching the Behind the Last of Us, when it comes on after the show, you should be. Because the creator, one of the directors said, we took the game and said, whatever works, we keep. But whatever we can make better, we change. And I really think they're holding true to that. For instance, Tommy, in the video game, you are Joel. That's it. You're Joel. Your whole interaction is the dialogue with Ellie most of the time and having to overcome obstacles. There is no worry about Tommy. He hasn't talked to Tommy in years. First episode, we see that he's worried about where Tommy is. That was a change, but it makes sense because in the show, he's kind of worried about where his little brother is. Also,
absolutely. The whole reason he's driving cross country, is to go to Wisconsin. Is that where it is?
It's I believe so. It's Wisconsin.
And it's a nice flip because you told me in the game Joel has beef with Tommy, but we can tell from that mid-season trailer, Tommy's the one with beef against Joel.
Yeah.
Oh,
very much so. Tommy in the game is a plot point. In the show, he's a character. Joel even says in the last episode, or the episode before the last that we're talking about, it was either episode 4 or episode 5. He says the plan is to get her to Tommy because Tommy used to be a Firefly. That was one of the points from the game, but in the show, it's the added in, I'm concerned about my brother because he hasn't checked in a while. So that's why I'm going there with the added benefit that he used to be a Firefly. He can help us. So it's not the plot point. It's the, I want to go and interact with my brother, and he might can help. And let me just say this: Pedro is picking up video game style written like scripts like they're nothing, man. He is doing an amazing job. He did it in Mandalorian. We talked about how that was kind of queued up and written like a video game, and he's doing it again right here. It's amazing. It's just amazing. And to all the haters out there, like, what the cast such and such, she's doing amazing. Hush. Hush.
Also,
please hush.
Someone else pointed out that they're both Game of Thrones stars, and I don't know why I never put it together.
Yep.
She is,
I can't remember what village it is, but
Mormont.
She's like, what's that?
She's Lady Mormont.
Mormont. That's
of House
what it is.
Mormont. Yeah.
Yes.
The Bear Isles. My favorite house from Game of Thrones because they have a bear.
Gee,
as
I wonder
their
why.
I wonder why.
I wonder why. But no, she is Lady Mormont. She's the youngest ruler over any land in Game of Thrones. And that actress is just her mannerisms, the staring off into space, the distract. That's Ellie. That's Ellie to a T. Like, if I wouldn't get in trouble and it wouldn't be boring, I would actually play through to show you. It's spot on.
Well, I watched some comparison clips, and
Yeah.
I want to play a clip from the show here in a second, where it's our real introduction into Ellie's personality. And from what I've seen in the clips of the game, it's literally spot on.
Yeah. Let's watch.
I don't know why it's doing that.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, probably because I have that audio going. There we go.
If she so much as twitches,
What?
don't.
Okay.
Just a little. Okay.
If she so much as twitches, it was perfect.
Talk about hiring a gender non-conforming actor to play a gender non-conforming role.
Exactly. And that doesn't become prevalent in the video game until you play through the Left Behind DLC and then again in part 2. It really doesn't get focused on, but it's a video game about survival. It's not that important.
It's not exactly, but it's just the because gay representation is one thing. Black representation, they happen often. This is gender fluid representation. This never happens, and they're letting her talk about it.
Yeah,
that's what matters, is that they're letting them talk about it. Yeah.
And the comment Brian was talking to me before recording, the haters online going, "Oh, they just had to put fruitcakes in the show, huh?" I'm sorry. Did you?
I had the best response to that.
Did you play the game? Because they were
already
already
had a Hawaiian
there.
shirt on.
Yeah, they were already there. Don't say they had to shove it in the show. They were already there. We just didn't get the backstory that we got from the Bill and Frank episode in the game. And now I'm a little disappointed that we didn't.
I mean, Bill literally in the video games throws shade at Frank's style while looking at his corpse. Of course they're gay.
Yeah.
Nick Offerman, by the way. Can we all just appreciate Nick Offerman because he's a gem?
He's so good.
I can't wait to cosplay Bill because that is something I want to do. I just got to get a wig.
I'll grow my beard and I'll be Frank in a heartbeat.
Yes, definitely.
I do.
We can both be Bills, and he's like trying to figure out which one of us is the real Bill.
No, hey, you got the beard for Bill. If we get you a wig, I'll let you be Bill, and I'll do Joel. I'll do beard and Joel. Like I'll gray it up, and like before he shaves it in the show, and I'll just do Joel.
Then we just need Ellie.
I'm pretty sure I could convince my oldest daughter to be Ellie.
I was about to say, he's got
not hard.
Girl. He's girl dad.
Mama Bear, Tess.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we have the crew.
Dude, what was it? Oh, And shout out real quick to Nick Offerman's wife, Megan Mullally, who is wonderful. She's fantastic in her own right. But I watched him talk to somebody the other day, and he goes, before I did it, I asked her. I was like, I want to make sure you're okay with me doing it. And she encouraged me to do it. And, yep.
And they have a whole podcast. Him and his wife have a podcast where they essentially talk about their sex life. It's Nick Offerman and his wife behind closed doors. I don't remember the actual name of it, but that's essentially how it's branded. And should definitely check it out. And he's got some great stand-up specials too. If they're still on Netflix, I highly recommend going to check them out.
My favorite show of all time is Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, yeah.
We need to do a Parks and Rec episode.
Please! Oh,
I would have to watch
Pedro
it.
Pascal episode of SNL? Have y'all watched?
You have not.
I have not watched.
The
I haven't
Pedro
seen Parks
Pascal
and Rec,
SNL.
and I haven't seen that.
I've only seen clips of it. I saw the clip of the classroom.
So, Brian, you've seen Parks and Rec?
I've seen Parks and Rec, yeah.
Okay. The weekend update this week, April shows up, and then Amy Poehler shows up. It was incredible. Aubrey and Amy Poehler, because she used to host the weekend update.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she gets up there and she goes, "Oh, I love the weekend update. It used to be my favorite time, or I've been a fan since Seth Meyers did this all by himself alone." Because she was his co-star. It's genius. It's genius. Oh, it was great.
I love her.
And the Pedro episode is great.
Honestly, though, I don't know what it was about her character in season 1, but that was why it was hard for me to get into Parks and Rec. I totally grew to love Leslie Knope, though.
Yes, but I think
100%.
we were supposed to. I think we were supposed to kind of dislike her at first because look at who her role model is. They're the same person.
Yeah.
She's just warmer and nicer. Yeah. Yep.
Speaking of actors that made an appearance, now this actor wasn't in the game, but he's been in other nerdy things. He was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for like a whole
Oh, not who I was thinking.
Where he played a doctor that made the life model decoys, the LMDs. He showed very first part of the first episode of this show and gives us the backstory that we never got for the video game.
Oh, he's the doctor.
And I love that.
Okay.
Yeah. That setup. I love how they didn't have to have some weird forced dialogue.
Yes.
That the characters say to try to give a backstory on why the virus spread. It was in the past. And it was like someone saying, hey, this is where humanity is heading, which is realistic. Someone in science would say, hey, this is where we're going to go. And then, of course, people aren't going to fucking pay attention.
The fact that we got an explanation was a very, very much appreciated addition coming from the video game player side of things. Because in the video game, we never get it. We never get it.
Right.
It might be dropped in bits and pieces, or if you go and pick up all of the little notes and things that you're collecting throughout the game, you may get a sense of what caused this, but you have to remember this game is all about survival. It doesn't matter how they're here, and you have to survive them. That's the point of the game.
Yes.
So it really doesn't matter how they came to be. It just matters that they're here. So
I just thought it was nice to show the negligence of the government because
look at what happened. Look at what happened.
The negligence and the unpreparedness. The scene from what was it, Indonesia, where they brought the doctor in and they asked, "What's your recommendation?" She said, "Bombs, bomb the entire city, burn them, it's painful to say, but do it." And
when she found out that it was too late, she just the terror.
Yeah.
When she was like, "There's no stopping this."
Right. I had a conversation one time, and I want to loop y'all in on this, and this is the perfect episode to do this on. So many years ago, riding back from some road trip with some friends of mine, I can't even remember who was in the car, but the topic gets brought up. What do you think would happen if an actual zombie apocalypse happened? And of course, one of my friends took the standpoint of, well, I can't wait to pull my best Daryl Dixon and go and collect weapons at the Bass Pro Shop. That's great, bud.
That's what I said in middle school.
Let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. What do you think would happen? And my response, and I want to see if y'all agree with this. All of this is fiction for a bigger reason other than it's zombies. Okay.
Yes.
It's fiction because the world governments as a whole would not let something like this happen. As soon as, so let's say Patient Zero is in
Robert.
Washington,
they let it happen 3 years ago.
Okay, that's COVID though. This is not
still a disease.
It's yes, but it just killed people compared to zombie, which like some sort of zombie virus that reanimates the body and makes them
and not only kills you, but brings the dead back as well.
Right.
So there's double. Right.
Being realistic, I said, let's just for example, and we'll use this example here. Patient Zero eats some infected thing. It has a concoction of, I don't know, rabies and mad cow disease and all the other things like that they say could possibly make someone a zombie, right? They're the only person. They bite 5 people, and this happens in Washington, D.C. What do you actually think would happen?
The government
I think
would
it would
shoot
go
those 5 people.
If they know about it right away. Like if they'd have to know Patient Zero had it then.
Yep.
How long did it take in Last of Us for them to come up with a thing where you just press it to the neck and it injects and it finds out that you're
13
infected?
years, baby. 13.
So my philosophy on that example was as soon as any of the other nuclear powers found out about it and it wasn't being contained, then whatever nation had the problem, and in this example it's America is no more.
Yeah.
America is no more. The borders are closed to Mexico and Canada. Flights are halted immediately, and America is gone. America's gone. You can't just bomb one half of America and say the other half's safe. America's gone in a heartbeat with sanction from the United Nations. It would be the toughest decision the world ever had to make, but a decision would be made. I don't think any of the other allies could come to say, no, let's give them a chance.
Too worried. I think they'd be too worried because we would know we're being nuked, so then they would be nuked, and everyone would be dead, the whole world. So I don't think that, I don't know.
I don't think they'd blow us up.
The governments can be pretty stupid, but I think it would be the dumbest decision because the reason why that never happens is they know as soon as that's launched, the next country has theirs launched, and then the next country has theirs launched, and the next country has theirs launched.
Right,
and
which is why they just shut it off.
There's no nuclear decision outcome that's not going to end in just the world going nuts everywhere.
Our sacrifice would be the sacrifice of the few, and we would all die, and the rest of the world would get to continue.
Yep.
Pretty much, they would shut us off, unless, of course, it was airborne. Because then you're screwed.
If it's airborne, you're screwed. Because it could get anywhere.
But here's the thing, and we have to remember this, and look at what cordyceps, because please keep in mind that cordyceps is a very real species of fungus. Look at what they do to ants and insects. They get in their brains, eat the brain, and control the body. So they're literally using something from our world that and then they tied it to the climate crisis.
Global warming, exactly. Crisis. Because it's showing that with evolution, we don't know what could come. And nature, like real nature in real life, has scary things that if it was to evolve and harm bigger creatures, even if it started with like cats or smaller animals, eventually things would come to a point where we're all in danger.
There is an old YouTube series out there, and if I can find it, I'll share one on the page. But I just remember watching it. It's like how the wind is trying to kill you, how trees are trying to kill you, how the sun is trying to kill you. Like it's just
to make you
paranoid. It lays out like this is what these things are actually capable of. The fact that evolution has protected us like as a species from the harshest extremes of these things is impressive. It's more of an educational thing. They just take the stance of, hey, this is how wind can kill you, or stuff like that. It also reminds me of a game called or I think it was a book called How Your Cat is Trying to Kill You. So not associated with the YouTube series, but
one thing I loved about this show was how it humanizes
just one.
Well, one of many.
Yeah.
It humanizes villains and vilifies people that you wouldn't consider to be villains.
Mm-hmm.
Like Henry, when we were first meeting him, we're thinking, oh, this is a good guy. We need to protect him. But we found out he's actually done some shady stuff. And then Kathleen, immediately we're like, oh, she's evil. But she's in pain. I'm not saying that's
right.
I was still happy when I thought she got what she deserved at the end there, personally.
And the irony of kids die all the time to being mauled by a child.
Yeah.
But okay, this is a world where these
Very
people
ironic.
have a very depressive outlook on.
Oh, I know, but I was
it's
just
very
saying
black
it
and
was
white. But
genius.
yes, irony, absolutely.
So I'm glad you brought up Kathleen, because that brings us to another change.
She don't exist.
The video game to the show. She doesn't exist.
She's not real
in the video game at all.
Yeah.
They said that in the behind the scenes of that episode, the way they were thinking was, in the video game, that group of people is just an obstacle for Joel and Ellie to get past.
The hunters.
That's
right.
all they are. I did love the live action rendition of the run truck, though, because that was completely real and straight from the game. So, but the more in depth of the only thing I didn't like, and it was just a personal thing, of the twinge of like hypocrisy of Kathleen, because she's making the statement that Henry is bad because Henry reported her brother and her brother got killed. But he did that to protect his brother. And it's the hypocrisy of, oh, well, my brother's more important than your brother. Because she's doing all of this because she lost her brother.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and yet you don't see the irony of, but what you're doing is just as wrong as what you're claiming he did. Like, if that's wrong,
she
then what
also
you're doing
says
is
that
wrong.
she just doesn't care. She understands
true.
hypocrisy.
Yeah.
She literally actually says that she just doesn't care because that's her brother.
She's doing it for revenge, and she owns up to it at least.
Because she even says that that's not even what her brother would want. Her brother would be disappointed in the way she's acting and how she's handling it. But then that guy, the guy hanging in the back, who's the voice of Tommy
Perry
in the video games, he's encouraging her.
Oh yeah,
like
that whole in the game was very difficult. There are some similarities where Ellie shoots the guy. She already had a gun before that. Joel had already given her one. He does teach her to shoot a rifle in that part of the game, so that she can cover him while he's trying to sneak past some of these guys. And it's very, very dark. It's a dark part of the game. Speaking of dark, I want to give shout out to the fact that most of the scenes from the first 2 episodes happened at night in the game. And they changed it to where it was daytime so that you could see the difference, like when they would go inside. That was very important to me as a viewer, like for them to not have to make it night, because as we know, most TV and movie media does not do well at night. If it's dark and not lit up, it's a problem.
And HBO seems to get a lot of flack for how their night scenes are portrayed. I don't see the problem. Like, if I had sun coming in my room and all my lights on, maybe I wouldn't see these scenes, but I usually see them perfectly well on my TV.
Yeah, promo time, yeah.
This episode of the Bear and the Beard podcast is brought to you by, well, you.
That's right, Fandomites, we have launched a Patreon for the show, and we're asking you to be a part of it.
We are going to take out only what is necessary to keep the show going and to keep attending live events every month.
And the amount of funds still in the Patreon after that will be donated to our friends over the Children's of Mississippi.
That's right. In return for your generosity, the different tiers will receive different things: spring store discounts, exclusive bonus content, freebies at live events, and more.
So it's a win-win-win.
Shut up and take my money.
You help us keep the cost of the show down, get cool perks, and donate to a great cause.
Sounds simple enough. Join the Patreon today and stay awesome,
stay bearded,
and much love. Yeah, it's really more about your contrast setting on your TV, but
yeah,
the one scene that they get the most flack for was the night battle in Game of Thrones in one of the last seasons. But I always thought that was to symbolize the dark end that was coming. It needed.
There were scenes where you weren't supposed to see anything. You saw everything you were supposed to see.
But we're in this game specifically, and in this show specifically, we're talking about a post-apocalyptic world that has no fires burning, no electricity, stuff like that. So in the game, it was dark. It was very dark a lot of the time, and it was raining a lot. But in a video game, they can alter the lighting, like where the moon hits the buildings the right way, and all this other stuff. It's great. You can't do that all the time in filming when you're filming a live location, so it works a lot better. I had to give that.
They did really well at a night scene, because in this last episode we got, they did this practically. They actually set a house on fire.
Yes.
To light this scene. There was no stage lights. I love that. And by the way, can we play these clips of the swarm coming and the loader?
Because oh my god.
The intensity. I mean, oh my god, they just all come. And look at that lighting. The lighting from the house burning and the lighting from the vehicles. That's all the lighting they have there. And then the big
the loader. Oh man.
Brutal.
Can they do it? Yeah.
So
and that bloater was practical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say though, brutal how he took Perry out. Brutal. Ripped his skull off. Oh my god.
One of the things I'm glad we don't have as far as content for this episode is the deaths that can happen in the video games. Joel, when you're playing as Joel, when you're playing as Joel, if a bloater gets too close to you and your health is too low, you get to experience that death. Like, they don't just say, "Oh, you died." No, they show you one of 4 cutscenes that they made of. There's ones where the blower rips his head off by opening his mouth too far. There's where he just rips his head off. There's ripping arms off.
You see Joel die a lot.
Brutal. Well, if you're not careful playing the game, you see it a lot. And then when there are instances where you play as Ellie, same thing. They didn't sugarcoat it. It's if you're not playing correctly and you die, they show you that you died. So it's very traumatic if you're not paying attention.
Okay, but let's be real. The ripping the head off in the distance was neat. Okay?
Yes.
Cool. This is HBO that did Game of Thrones, that does gory. Pedro Pascal is the lead of this show. You missed an opportunity to have a bloater mounting somebody's head.
Yeah, just
you missed an opportunity. That's something they do in the game too.
Yeah,
they pop your head the same way that Mountain pops Pedro's head. I cannot believe they didn't do that.
Yes. And then they didn't watch that. The memes that could be made. The memes that could be made. I'm seeing a meme with him watching that happen, and then the Loki seeing Hulk smash Thor around.
Yeah, that's how it feels. Yep. Good stuff, man.
But yes, Joel, Pedro playing Joel is amazing. Tess was amazing. I'm actually glad that they did her death a little different. In the video game, she dies at the hands of the ATF or whatever
Fedra.
Fedra. Yeah. She dies at the hands of Fedra. It's just slightly different. And you actually hear it more than you see it. In the game, you're Joel and you're trying to get a viewpoint on what's going on with her, but you also don't want Fedra to see you. So you hear it more than anything. Fedra busts in, they shoot her. So I'm actually glad. Now, the fungal kiss thing,
That was weird.
that was a
weird.
lot much. That was a lot much.
That was
Why?
weird.
Why?
That's honestly probably my only complaint because it
Why would they do that?
It was so uncomfortable.
Graphics.
But
Like they needed it to be graphic.
Did they in any way explain a poignancy? I just don't understand why.
It was cringe.
I honestly think, and this is just a fan theory because there's no confirmation, but I honestly think that the reason that the fungus tried to do it was to stop her from continuing to try to light the lighter. Because if it goes in closer to the brain, it can take control of the brain, but she did light it and drop it and, the whole thing.
But just watching her suffer through that, she already knows she's going to die, and now she has to suffer anyways. Like, if the infected never came in, she was still dead. She was still going to die.
Yeah.
And so the fact that she had to go through something like that while trying to also save Ellie and Joel.
Speaking of characters that knew they were going to die, let's talk about Sam.
Oh my God!
Dude,
so to talk about Sam also talks about Henry, talks about Ellie, because I feel like they're building Ellie with all of these experiences that she's experiencing is molding her into someone.
Same thing in the game.
Because she had to watch this man. I can't even say it, but
Now, I have to ask, because I asked you in the group chat and I can't remember what you told me. Does it still play out the same exact way? The
only difference that I've spotted in that episode as far as that sequence of events happens is the fact that Ellie didn't know when she went to bed that night that Sam was infected, and neither did Sam.
And when I watched the clip of it happening in the video game, the camera doesn't focus on Ellie watching it and the tear that she had come down.
Yeah. She doesn't know. She wakes up and he's already standing. And she goes to touch him, and that's when it falls out just like that after that. The whole
she created such a bond.
Yeah, that scene where they're in that underground protective area or whatever, that's straight out of the video game. That is an actual place in the video game you can visit.
Broke me. And I think it hit me even harder than episode 3. I really do. Episode 3 broke my heart, but as a suicide survivor, that episode triggered the shit out of me.
Sam being deaf also was a great addition.
Yeah,
because there is the whole dynamic of he's deaf, but then the first time he actually makes noise is when he's already not him. And it answers the question, do you think when we become these monsters that we're still inside? I would have to say the answer is no, because he was a deaf, kind individual, and as soon as he turned, he no longer was.
But he was still deaf because someone pointed out that he didn't attack. He didn't hear Ellie walking around. It wasn't until he saw her that he leaped immediately.
So that's
true.
So that maybe that was them answering our question.
I don't know if that, like I said, I don't know if that played out the same, because it happens the same way in the video game too, though. He doesn't attack her while she's sleeping. She wakes up, walks up to him because he's standing at the window, touches his shoulder, and he turns. You see that he's turned, knocks her into the other room, and then everything else plays out the exact same way. But
he's not deaf in the game, right?
The only difference... No, he's not deaf in the game.
So therefore, the show added that line to reference the death. What I'm getting at is, I think Brian's on to something. I think it was completely intentional by
Yes.
the team that in the show, at least, with him being deaf, he was still deaf as a clicker.
And if it wasn't in our headcanon, he was.
Oh,
So-
absolutely. Because it makes it all the more heartbreaking.
Now, I will say that there is one line that was omitted from the Henry and Joel interaction from that scene. Henry actually tells Joel, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be me. That is one line that they took out. Yes. They
Well, I think they
took
did that
line
intentionally
out.
then, because
Yeah.
it makes it very clear in this that he is not immediately willing to let
he's
Henry
not.
die.
Joel
let Sam
tries
die.
to convince him to to put the gun down, to move on, go with them. That's all the same. The only omission is the line where he tells Joel why he shot him, pretty much. And it's an explanation in the game that they didn't really need for the show, because I mean, hey, you stay right there. You're not doing this. I am. It's one of those,
and
translated well.
The heartbreak that Ellie really wanted to help him, because she thought maybe her blood could save him, and obviously now we know
all
that's
in
not the
addition,
case.
she didn't tell anybody that I know of from the game that she wasn't infected, except for when they thought she had, like when someone would see her arm by accident or something, that she wasn't infected, that was that old or whatever. And Joel, of course, has to protect her and all this other stuff. So, but as far as I know, Henry and Sam both never knew in the game as well.
This show has a habit now of ending the last shot you see on something that just makes
something
you feel.
super
And
sad.
This episode was her writing to him.
Yep. I'm sorry.
And they walk away. That hurt.
Yep.
That
and
really
the window from.
Oh yes, we need to talk about. I didn't want to like get into it a little bit, because when we dive into that, I want to fully dive. But shall we fully dive into the?
Let's fully dive in. Let's
episode?
dive into the Bill and Frank episode with Squatch Talk.
It's Squatch Talk, baby. Oh yeah.
Uh-oh.
All right, so loved this episode every second of it.
I'm so excited.
We touched on it a little bit, Nick Offerman and all that. But let's really talk about and I know we're talking about these out of order, but
but
we're all talking about the first 5 episodes here. So, love me.
I didn't know Nick Offerman was going to be in this.
Well,
right?
Did you watch Our Flag Means Death, Brian?
I've watched the first episode.
Okay, no, is he Hands in the first episode? Little guy with a raspy voice and all black.
I don't remember him being in it.
Well, that actor was originally slated to play that role, and he dropped out for some reason, and Nick Offerman filled that role. But yeah, I didn't know either. Up until release, I thought it was Con O'Neill, and then when I saw Nick Offerman, I was like,
yeah.
I thought I was going to hate Bill, because, like I said, I did look up some stuff about the video game, but it wasn't until after I watched this episode I looked stuff up, so I knew nothing of what I was expecting. I just saw a million people I know, conspiracy, paranoid, conservative,
13 colonies.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this is going to be a guy I ain't going to like at all.
The
so
more elaborate booby traps was amazing.
Oh my god! Yes,
because he does that in the game, but it's very minimalist. He goes full fucking Wolverines from Red Dawn in this show, and I love it.
The fact that he waited for everyone to like get out in panic, and like he just hunkered down until everyone was gone, and then he built his little slice of heaven. That's what I'm calling it. He built a little slice of heaven, and it was not complete until Frank showed up.
He just didn't know it yet.
Right. Oh my god, Linda runs.
That beautiful piano scene. I didn't know what was happening. I actually thought at any second Bill was going to be like, okay, you need to hit the road. You need to go. And then it went that way. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my God, what?
So
they're going to have a happy life.
So I've been watching the show with Mama Bear, obviously, and she actually turned to me when that scene happened. I was like, "That's a little fast, isn't it?" I was like, "Let's remember that this is a TV show. They do not have weeks upon weeks to do flashbacks to make their relationship build."
But it's also the
Let's
apocalypse.
Yeah, and let's
they've been
also remember
alone
this is
for how long?
post-apocalyptic. They've been separate from anything loving for so long. This is it. This is genius.
I do feel that it unintentionally played into the harmful stereotype that gay men only are gay because they like sleeping around. You know, like
Yeah,
it's the sex, but the rest of the episode,
yeah,
undid that and told you exactly what it was.
There was one line that I felt like undid that, and it was Frank's line in bed, and he says, "Now I just want you to know that I'm not a whore.
Yep.
So if we do this, I'm going to stick around for a few weeks.
For a
I'm
few
going
days.
to enjoy your time.
Yep.
You know, and we're gonna have a good time." Pretty much is what he said, and it's like, yes, thank you for pointing that out. Like, it's not just that. This isn't about this, but this is gonna be good.
Yep.
You know, and
Yeah.
I just love the fact that when Bill comes in his towel, I literally turn to Mama Bear and go, "What's really funny about this is he is a bear, and he is now one of my favorite characters." Like, because he didn't shave any of his chest hair for that role. That's all him, man. I wish my chest fur would come in and look that majestic. Like, it was awesome. The only cringe from that entire episode that I felt was when Frank was playing the piano, because it felt like he was hitting all the wrong notes on purpose, and that is cringe. That's cringe to me. I'm a very musical person. I knew that song before Nick Offerman's character played it, and I'm just like, that hurts my ears. That's the only cringe that I had from that entire episode. It was amazing.
I love how they ended up making friends with Tess and Joel, and like they had a picnic. Like literally every scene except for when the pillagers were coming showed that their life was like a little slice of heaven in a terrible, horrible, evil world. And other than like outside forces coming in every now and then, for the most part, they got to just enjoy their lives.
And we are going to have friends, Bill, because I've been talking to a nice young lady on the radio. You've been what? And that was my only concern when I figured out that that's where they were going with that episode. Was this is Bill and Frank's story before like Joel shows up? Because in the game, all we get is Joel and Ellie show up. They meet Bill. Bill explains, what kind of happened to his area where he was, and then sends them on their way.
And we do meet Frank, but he is
and we meet Frank as a corpse.
He's
so
dead.
when we first kind of realized, oh, this is where this episode's heading, my only concern was that we weren't going to get a Joel and Bill interaction, because their interaction in the game was chef's kiss. It was amazing. But we did get that thanks to the picnic scene. We get the whole, "Get that gun out of my face." That's straight from the video game. It is, and it's amazing. I do also love the fact that they're the ones that set up the danger code using the 80s music.
Yes.
So I love that.
Come on. I mean, I think again, if anybody didn't know, the minute somebody found Linda Ronstadt and said, "This is you," that the 80s music should have told you too. But I thought I want to talk about basically how this is Up. Like it's the opening scene from Up with two dudes, and it is heartbreaking. But that ending and how I looked at Mom when Bill poured his glass of wine, and I said he poured it the same exact way. There are already pills in that bottle. There are already pills in that bottle. Ah!
And they had the same meal that was their first meal together.
Yes.
And the difference is he's sitting right next to him this time instead of opposite end of the table.
Yep.
Yep. I did love the because that talking about post-apocalyptic worlds, every movie, every TV show we've seen, none of them really ever harp on what do we do without doctors? What do we do without this? What do we do without that? Frank says it best. There wasn't a cure for this before the world went to shit. So what are we going to do now? You know, like it's not going to be any different. Before we watched that episode, the three of us and Mama Bear and all that, because we've been trying to stay religious and watch them the week they come out. Jay, you said that you wanted a shirt that said, "Love me the way I want you to." And I was like, oh, that must be a line from the show. Okay, we're going to make that for you. And we will. You'll have it by the time this episode comes out. But I didn't know the significance until this episode dropped and I actually got to watch it, which I watched it a little while after you guys did. And when he said it, I was like, oh, man, that breaks me.
Yep.
Like, that hurts.
Let me go.
Like, I didn't know that it was that. Like, I thought it was like a fun line, and it is not. It means a lot more. And it was.
It's beautiful, though. It's heartbreaking, but it's beautiful because they're taking control of their own destiny. They're not going to let cancer ruin it. They're not going to let the cordyceps ruin it. They're not going to let anything ruin it. They are in control of their destiny, their world, and they go out on their own terms. And the fact that I thought originally that Bill was going to have to live on without Frank, and we were going to have a mourning Bill by the time that Joel and Ellie came. But honestly, the fact that their story was its own thing, and then it was just a driving force for the note that Joel read.
Joel still got his truck.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brian.
It was
a crap
perfect.
Chevy S10.
And the fact that down to they knew Joel would come by, and they wanted to make sure that he could have whatever supplies he needed, and they left the window open. That way, this was their ending scene. We got to have that, and this is just so beautiful. And Barry, you said it's a nod to the game.
Who knew a window could evoke so much emotion? Yes, because in the game, the first game, the start screen is a window with drapes blowing just like that. The difference is that vegetation has grown up through the window, and you can see that the window seal is in disrepair. It's moldy, cracked, whatever. And Ellie's knife is stuck in the windowsill itself. So, but it's still that window.
Oh, really?
Like it's to me, it's a symbolic thing of this is the window you're viewing this story through. You're a viewer. You're not a character in this game. You're a viewer. You're watching.
And the fact that this episode, it was Bill and Frank's episode, it had to end with them. But of course, no one wants to end an episode looking at two corpses.
No.
Yeah.
So we get a beautiful ending where we're right next to them. They're there in that ending thing, but we get to see something beautiful that tells more about them. They left the window open that way the house didn't stink for the guests they knew.
The letter was the piece of the resistance. It was, to whoever finds this, but more than likely Joel. Like you said, they knew Joel was going to be the one to find them. Don't if you do read this, don't come in the bedroom. We locked ourselves open. We left the window open so that it won't smell. You can have anything you want, but this is the way we decided to go out. And please respect that, and so on and so forth. It's also the only time, because like we said, Joel buries Tess or makes a marker for Tess. He then is the one that wants to bury Henry and Sam. I mean, he dug the hole. There's no way Ellie convinced him to do that. It had to be a joint decision. But he respected them enough as people to honor their wishes and leave them right there, instead of taking time to bury them in the front yard or however.
Nobody else was likely going to come across them.
No.
And if they did, There wasn't anything there anyway.
Mm-mm.
Yep.
No.
Joel's going to have all the supplies, and they're literally their last moments were holding each other and going to sleep.
Yeah,
Loving
Joel's
each
gonna
other.
have all the supplies for all of one day until he wrecks the truck when they go into the other city and has to leave it all behind. It happens the same way in the game. It happens the same way in the game. He gets the vehicle, he gets supplies, and then they wreck it into the laundromat. It happened the exact same way. It's impressive. But yeah, the Bill and Frank episode, just from a viewpoint, I mean, we've talked about it so many times on this show where representation is important, and when it is done right and tells a story, and is it done for any kind of malice of, oh, we want to show that we're being representative because we want people to buy our product.
Yes.
That is exactly what this was. They didn't have to do a backstory.
This
on Bill and Frank.
product has already
They wanted
sold.
to. Yeah, this product sold. And to everyone out there going, like we said, the toxic fan base going, oh, they had to put 2 fruitcakes in the show. They were already there. You're not paying attention. The game already explains it. It just doesn't go in
He's
depth.
my partner mean in a zombie apocalypse. They aren't cops.
Right. Partner hasn't meant that since Shane and Rick from Walking Dead. All right.
You damn right.
Let's be honest, they were repressed.
Man, all I think about is the rap battle between Walter White and Rick Grimes. It's like no one saw Shane coming except your wife. So,
That's horrible.
I thought it was a great representation episode. I thought the actors did amazing. It
Not even just
a
a great representation. It was just a beautiful.
It was a beautiful episode.
It was just a wonderful story. I loved the comparison to Up because it evoked that same kind of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You're still sad about this death because it's sad, but you're sad about it because you've been along for the experience. They still had a nice full life together. It's beautiful.
Yep.
Yes.
I wasn't scared until you came along.
How perfect is that?
It really is.
Instead of I was terrified until you came along. I wasn't scared.
So I have an actual comparison for that. So as a married man, as a father, I've been doing some deep diving, and this episode, this is why it harks so much with me, because you don't think about, like we talked about in our 90s nostalgia episode, Caleb brought it up, Frack. He said, I just wish we could get some of our innocence back. Like, that's what he's nostalgic for, is innocence, you know? And we were like, oh, you mean like back before the anxiety and the depression and all that? When you really think about it, and this show did a great way of kind of translating it and putting it into words, quote unquote, is sometimes you're not scared till someone else on you. But that is my daily life. Like, yeah, I have 5 reasons to be afraid. Like 6,
I have 3.
or 6 or multiple that you could start if you started counting my individual family members. But in my household, I have 5 reasons to be afraid every day, not just for myself, but for someone else. It's the whole mentality of, you know, I need to go to work so I can make this paycheck so I can facilitate this. And yes, it's a rat race, but what happens if you don't run it?
Yep.
You know, if it's just you might be okay.
Yeah.
But when it's not just you, when you have something you care about, it doesn't have to be a spouse. It doesn't have to be a child.
No.
When you have something you care about that you might lose if you don't run that race, that makes it so much more potent that you need to do the thing. Do the things that make the things happen.
Do the thing.
So it really is. It's a great translation. It could have been done with anybody. The only other relationship that we've seen so far, and I loved it. We didn't talk about it earlier when we were talking about Tess, but how nurturing Pedro's Joel was to Tess when she showed up with the black eye. That's straight out of the game. Tess was the only person that Joel cared about in the game before he started caring about Ellie. So it was just that was his next person.
Yeah.
After he lost his daughter. And they're just doing such a good job. There's such a good job. Anyone that's still out there going, it's not like it was in the game. Go on somewhere. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But this is the best video game adaptation to film that I have ever seen. Ever.
You know what my question is for those people? I'm gonna look right at the camera. If you played the video games,
hold on,
and you're watching.
Let's make you big screen. Let's make you big screen because I want you to really hark on this. All right,
this is an announcement. From Big
glasses off.
This is a PSA. Oh, it's serious now. Brian took his glasses off.
If you're watching this show, which I couldn't see without my glasses, if you're watching it and you played the game, and your criticism of this show is that it's not like this in the video games, it's not like this in the video games. My challenge to you. Watch this show as if you've never played the video game in your entire life.
Yep.
Judge it based on its own merit.
What
because I am absolutely obsessed with this show, and I've never played the game. It makes me want to play the game. So the fact that this is a show that could invite more people into this fandom that may have never gotten into it because this game's been out for a while,
yes,
that in and of itself should excite you. Anything other than that is toxicity and gatekeeping.
But God forbid the gays want to play the video games now.
Oh no!
Right?
Oh God! Oh God!
That's another thing. Yeah. If you think the whole there's a phrase thrown around online. Oh, it just flipped us again. What?
It is what it is.
There we go. There's a phrase that goes on online a lot in comments sections whenever anything remotely represents the go woke, stay broke.
Oh God.
I hate that so much because what you're saying is people that exist in the real world simply existing in media is enough for you to say that they're pushing an agenda. People exist, okay? That's that.
Yep.
Pretty much. And if you don't like what the TV show is doing to your beloved video game, guess what? Guess what's sitting in your entertainment center? Your PlayStation and your video game.
Yep.
Go play the game. Like, you don't have to like everything that comes out. If you're not liking the show, that's all right. No one said you have to like it. That's okay. Yeah. You are you. You would know whether or not you sit there and go, you know what? I'm not feeling this. That's cool. That's not where the toxicity is.
Don't be a bigot on the internet.
Yeah.
Well, we are interviewing Jason at 7:30. We said.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to make sure that I got to talk about episode 5, but I'm going to go help cook dinner if that's okay, and I will rejoin y'all at 7:30.
Yeah, that's fine. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up.
Cool.
We appreciate everyone. There's no Talking Nerdy segment for this episode.
We're going to be at cons.
I think
I didn't mean that we all
No.
go.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine.
We talked about all the episodes.
We talked about all the episodes, and we don't want to keep our viewers or listeners any longer than we absolutely have to.
Cool.
We appreciate everyone that listened to this episode. We hope that you're liking Last of Us as much as we are. I don't know if that's possible, but I hope it is. We really look forward to doing this again after the next 5 episodes drop. We'll talk about the next 5 just like
what
that.
What we expect from a season 2, because that's definitely going to happen.
Definitely can't wait.
Reviewed,
dude,
right?
If you like season 1 and if you like Last of Us Part 1, let me tell you, part 2 of the game, if they do season 2 based off of the game, it's going to be amazing.
And it's gonna kill everyone. It's gonna break everybody's hearts too.
Yeah. I already know that Joel's not in part 2.
Someone
told me
partially in part 2.
Partially
in part 2.
Yeah.
I know that I have to experience Joel's death. I'm never looking forward to that.
Nope.
You cannot kill my Pedro.
But part 2 did have a lot of new characters that got added in. They're amazing additions from my viewpoint, in my opinion. And it's going to be really fun to explore them as well. That storyline is amazing. They did some amazing amazing visual things with that game that they didn't do with the first one because it came out in 2013. The second one came out in 2020, so they had been working on it for
Right.
almost 7 years. And technology, of course, advanced and all that fun stuff. So it's going to be great to see this show progress. And hopefully, y'all are fans and y'all are right here along with us for the ride. And in the meantime, we're going to get out of here. I've been the Bear.
I've been the Beard.
I've been Nerd Squat.
And we want to remind you, as always, to stay awesome,
stay bearded,
and much love. We'll see y'all next episode. And hopefully, we're seeing you at Pensacon in real life. Until then, we are
out of here.
Out of here.
Boom, cut the check.
That was totally wicked!
Thanks for checking out another Bearded Bear Entertainment production. New episodes of this show are released every other Friday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time in both audio and video format. Audio episodes are available pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts, and YouTube is the only place for video format.
For listeners, subscribe on your app so your device downloads it automatically. And for viewers, subscribe and click that little bell so you're notified about all our new nerdy content. Also, don't forget to follow us on our socials.
Facebook,
Instagram, and
TikTok
are all great places to interact with us.
Many thanks to the rest of our team, all of our geeks of the round table, and all of our awesome friends of the cast. Much love, y'all. Lastly, for more cool music like this awesome outro track, go check out HarlequinSoul, Secret Apex on Facebook and Spotify. His links are in the description as well.
Talk at you next episode, nerds.
See you then!